What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Lawson from Squad Sports. We're really excited to be supporting the Free Agent Friday series. A lot of great talent out there. Without further ado, this is the next free agent you should be signing with your sports team.
All right, we're back for another Free Agent Friday, and today I've got Brandon Matukas with me. How's it going, Brandon?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Did I get it right?
Got it right. That's
Okay,
tough.
good.
That's not a name.
Good. I'm horrible with names, so I try not to butcher them. But thanks for joining me. Let's kind of jump right in.
Yeah.
Let's go through where you went to school and any degrees that you received.
Yeah, sure. So I went to Bowling Green State University in Ohio, not Bowling Green, Kentucky. I get that like every single time I say where I went to school.
Yeah.
You know, it's a school in the middle of wheat and cornfields in the middle of nowhere, and I'm from Boston, so everybody's like, why'd you go there? But I honestly, it was the best decision I could have made. It had a reputation for its sport management undergraduate degree, and that's what I received a bachelor's in sport management and marketing. And it was awesome. I mean, it opened up my eyes to the world of sports and what I was getting myself into. So yeah, it was a great choice.
At what point did you decide you wanted to work in sports?
Yeah, so I grew up in Boston, like I said, and like my whole family is diehard, everything. And all my friends are ultra competitive. So sports has always been ingrained in me, right? It's always been a part of my life. And frankly, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I went to college. I didn't know. I was going to go, general business or try to figure it out after my first year. But then I saw Bowling Green had a pretty well-known sports management degree. And I was in the military. So they actually paid 100% tuition in Ohio.
Nice.
So it was a no-brainer for me, two birds, one stone. I'm going to get a good education in something that I knew I loved sports. Really being there was the eye-opening that I needed to understand that I wasn't just a fan, but there's a big business behind, this fandom. And that really was it for me. Like that was what opened my eyes, and the clubs that I could participate in and the internships, I fell in love.
When you were in school, did you do any internships or volunteer work at all?
Yeah, so a few things. They make you do a practicum there. I'm not sure if they still do, but they make you do a practicum your junior year and an internship your senior year. And then I was also the president of their sport management club my senior year, which is a pretty big club on campus. It's one of the biggest, I think. It has a few hundred students. Pretty big budget. We went to the Super Bowl to work a few years in a row, which is pretty cool. Awesome
Nice.
experience. As a student, that's awesome. So I got to do all that stuff. I worked for the on-campus events team, which really meant like I picked up like the umpires in the golf cart and brought them to like the games and stuff like that. But it was cool. It was a good experience. And then my senior year, I interned for the New Hampshire Fisher Cats in Manchester, the AA affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays, which then transitioned into my first job for a little bit there before I left. After graduating. And that's where I always joke and say that's where I got my master's in sports, because like I did everything there. Everybody did, right? There was like a staff of 12, and we were ushers and selling sponsorship and tickets and marketing, and so we did it all there. But it was awesome.
Did you have to wear the mascot at all?
Oh yeah, I had to wear the
Okay,
mask.
good. I was gonna say, man, if you didn't have to do that, then we're gonna have to, schedule something. So okay.
No, of course I had to wear a mask. And I was fungal at Fisher Couch, like 8 feet tall and hot in the middle of the summer. And I was at a kid's school, and there was like that song. It's like, your left foot and then your right foot. And then I turn around and there's like 400 kids watching me do it. And I thought I was going to pass out from the heat, but I had to finish the job. It was tough.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do, man. You got to get.
You got to earn your stripes.
Yeah. So after, so what'd you do with the Fisher Cats? I mean, you said kind of everything, but what was was there a prime focus for you?
Yeah, primarily selling sponsorship. Or I'm sorry, not selling sponsorship, some tickets. I did end up selling my first sponsorship deal from my barber. He was like, "How much is a sign in Sheffield?" And I was like, "I don't know, but let's get you down to the stadium and talk to somebody that might know." So that was awesome. But primarily selling tickets, and every single day, 100 person cold call sheet and just crossing a name off, typing it into CRM. But I think that stuff is pretty valuable. I didn't end up working in tickets ultimately, but but you dust off the rust when you have to call somebody who hasn't come to a game in 5 years and they're in a database and they're like, why do you have my number? And I'm like, it's not important. You want to come to a game? So it's tough, but it really teaches you a lot of skills.
Yeah. How about, where'd you go from there?
Yeah, so from there, I was lucky. So actually, I had a little bit of a break. I had to do a mandatory military training. I was in the National Guard at the time for about 5.5 months. So I had to do it within the first 2 years of graduating. So I left and then did that. And then I came back and I was just searching for jobs. Not much experience, really only out of college and that, one gig with the minor league team. So searching endlessly. I applied everywhere. I was driving Uber and like cutting trees and just applying, just trying to figure it out. And then ultimately I landed up in New Orleans for the Pelicans, which I couldn't have landed in a better spot, honestly, because there I got to work in the NFL and the NBA simultaneously. On Sundays, I was on the field during the games, and, every other day of the week I was on the court. And I was capturing sponsored content, and I was building proposals and prospecting. I got to work on the jersey patch there when it was just introduced. So, and we got the All-Star game that year. So nice. I got to work All-Star. I was walking out there with like LeBron and trying not to fanboy Kevin Garnett. But all that stuff was incredible because, it was totally unexpected and a cool jump start to my career.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
So, you were there, just under a year, and then went to Houston.
Yeah, first year there, we won a World Series.
Man, look at you, just getting all these, you got the All-Star game.
I know.
That's like.
I know. And I've been so fortunate. And really the Houston job was, and shout out to one of my former coworkers. She, like anything else in this industry, is networking. And she knew I was an intern there in New Orleans. And she said, hey, I know our old boss that used to work for New Orleans is the sponsorship director in Houston, and they're looking for a coordinator. Would you be interested? And I was like, it's 4 hours up the road. I was like, absolutely, because I was making $7.25 an hour. I was living with my girlfriend in like a 1-bedroom in New Orleans, and I was like, yeah, let's go. So it was awesome. I got to meet with the whole team there, and after a few interviews, I got that position. And like I said, we won the World Series the first year there, which was the craziest experience. Just getting behind a team, working for a property, and winning one of those things.
Did you get a ring?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I should have brought it upstairs. I should have showed you. It's
I know.
Downstairs, hidden.
Locked up.
Yeah.
Locked up. All right. So you were there 2 years as corporate partnership coordinator. What kind of, day-to-day were you doing there? What did your day look like?
Sure. So at the beginning, I had a small book of business that I had to activate myself. So about 20 partners, but a lot of them were just one-off events, or ancillary events. So nothing too major. But of course, at the time, my first ever book of business experience was a lot. And then in addition to that, my primary duties were building all of the sponsorship decks, and I was doing all the Photoshop for all the mocks. So really just being the subject matter expert on all of our assets. And what that ended up translating to ultimately was my second year after we won the World Series. Really, we ran out of things to sell. I mean, we had like 108 field-facing signs. Our inventory was depleted because we won. But of course, we wanted to capitalize on winning the World Series. So I remember saying to my boss, like, hey, I think ultimately I want to sell in this industry. And he was like, all right, cool, go sell. So being there, doing all the things that I was doing in the first year, and then I got to learn how to prospect and sell was great. Because picking up the phone was a lot easier saying like, hey, this is Brandon from the Houston Astros. We just won the World Series. Than like, hey, this is Brandon from the Manchester, from the New Hampshire Fisher Cat. Who am I? So that was a lot easier. But it was great. I got to learn how to sell sponsorship there from great minds in the industry.
And then, so you left there and went, kind of back to the Northeast.
Yeah. So my goal was to get back to the Northeast, and my girlfriend had worked in fashion at the time and was like, hey, I've lived in New Orleans and in Houston, like, let's go somewhere where I can do my job. And I was like, yeah, it's fair enough. So I've always wanted to live in New York. I'm a big comedy and theater and an arts guy here. So I've always wanted to live here. It's been a dream of mine since I was a kid. And when I got here, we were living in Brooklyn with my German Shepherd and my girlfriend and 5 other roommates in a 3-bedroom. And I had to try to figure out a job. We didn't have jobs when we got here. We were just like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And then the Yankees gig opened up. like a month after I got here, 3 weeks after I got here. And then I got hired like pretty quickly, like within a day or so. And I was like, wow, like this is working out. So again, like the tale of this interview is really like, I've been really fortunate throughout my career. I like to think that I've put myself in the right place with opportunities, but there's been some luck involved for sure.
Yeah. And how about your most recent gig?
Yeah, so I wouldn't have left the Yankees. I actually really, really liked it there. But I wanted to sell sponsorship. And ChefsFeed was available at the time. And I spoke to their vice president. And I think what I loved about them is they're very much, hit the ground running, startup kind of vibe. They were well known in the app space, but, they're just really groundbreaking now. And I pitched them like 5 or 6 ideas that I was enthusiastic about. And they were like, yeah, let's send a production team down to New York. Let's get it started. So I was like, this is awesome. Like we're really going to do this thing. And I was excited to bring my clients in and hit them with a different demographic and a different background. But, COVID happened and they're small. And I wish I got to work with those guys. I actually never ended up really working with them because of COVID, but I wish I did. And I wish them the best. And hopefully they get right through it. But for now, I'm kind of looking for the next spot.
And what is that? What's the next gig that, what's the ideal gig for you?
Yeah. So it's for me, it's sponsorship sales. It's selling and sponsorship. And really the interesting thing about that is I've done it in my career. But I've never had a position in which, other than the most recent position, which I was hired for, I've never had a defined, hey, you're selling sponsorship now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, sports is funny because it's very defined in that you either are an account manager or you sell sponsorship, and you really can't muddy those lines, but I think you can. So I'd like to think I'm a hybrid in that space where I love getting in front of people and growing business, but making relationships. And that's, really the intangible for both positions. But I think what I love most is being creative and being able to close the deal. So right now, my next position, whatever that might be, whether it's on the property side or for a league or a betting app or really anything that's sports centric, I want to go out there and just try to be as creative as possible and sell.
Open to relocation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love New York, certainly, but I think these times especially are not one in which, we can be too greedy or too picky.
Right.
And I mean, look, I love New York. I hope it bounces back, and I'd love to see it through. But at the same time, New York's pretty expensive and it's pretty uncertain. So really we've never been not open to taking opportunities of traveling. I mean, obviously we've picked up 5 times and just gone.
What would you say is the biggest asset that you'll bring to the table?
Yeah. So I think for me, especially now, I think I've always had, this drive and this passion for whether it's closing business or being enthusiastic or being a people person, in a sense that I'm always trying to build relationships. But now, especially, I'm pretty hungry and I'm pretty ready to work. I mean, I haven't had a job in 6-7 months, and I'm sitting here and I feel like every day my job is to prospect jobs.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, 9 to 5, and I'm messaging people, and it feels like I'm selling sponsorship, but really I'm just trying to sell myself. So
Exactly.
I haven't lost that. I haven't, there's no rust on that because I'm doing it every day. But I think right now I'm eager and I'm ready, and I can't wait to bring over my clients because I still keep in touch with all of them. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Wherever I'm at next, I can't wait to get in front of you and share with you what I got.
That's great. How about, what's the area you need to work on the most?
So I think kind of going back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier is showcasing, or at least displaying that I'm not defined as an account manager without sounding too bitter about it, because I think sometimes in this industry, it's very easy to look at somebody on paper and say, oh, okay, well, he's managed accounts. But I think what separated me in the past, especially when I've interviewed, is I'm going to bring you as many ideas as I can to say hey, when I get there, I'm not just an account manager. I can't just manage accounts, or I don't just manage accounts. I'm ready to get in front of people and sell everything that we got and really do it passionately.
Yeah, no, that's great. How would you define success?
It's a great question. I think at the end of the day, it's a pretty big cliche, but I think at the end of the day, if I look back on my career, my personal life, I would hope that I affected change positively everywhere I was. So if I can go into any environment and I can impact a culture positively with, equal parts competitive driving results as there is, being, actually enjoying going to work, then I think I did a good job. I'd like to look back on my career and define it successfully as, just being fulfilled. And hopefully everybody that I met thinks of me in that way.
All right. Last question is a fun personal fact about you.
Yeah. So my girlfriend in Houston pushed me to do an improv class one time, and it was terrifying. And then when I came to New York, she was like, hey, this is like, comedy hub of the world, just do it. So there was an audition and I did it, and I passed an audition for improv, and I've never done it before. And then my first show was in front of like 70 people, and with 5 strangers on stage for an hour under a bar. And I was up there and I had to make people laugh for an hour, and I do not know what I'm doing. And it's terrifying. But I ended up doing it like 7 or 8 times last year, and I loved it. And really what it did was, for me, I found that I did it the night before, and then I'd go to work and I'd be in front of, these CEOs of big business with the Yankees. And I was like, this is no problem. Right. It's no problem, because last night I was just terrified, and I did it for an hour. So if I can do that, I can talk to anybody about the stuff that I actually know about.
Yeah.
So that, I think
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good. It was.
We on YouTube? We got anything on YouTube or what?
That won't happen.
Come on, man.
maybe when COVID lifts, you can start picking it up.
No, that's good. But I mean, that definitely can translate over, and too. I mean, if it's a little out of your comfort zone too. I mean, it's good to push yourself. I mean, me and this podcast is the same thing. It's outside of my comfort zone, so it definitely pushes me to do something that I'm uncomfortable with. So
you're like 90 episodes deep.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the first few are, man, they're cringeworthy if you go back and watch them, but they're definitely getting easier, but it's challenging. So I enjoy it. And it's great to be able to meet people like yourself. I mean, and these videos, I think, are the difference, because I can hear and I can see your passion, and, it's not just a cover letter or a resume. And
for sure, definitely.
I think, you've got a bright mind, and I'm sure you'll be back at it pretty soon.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And right back at you. These things are awesome. I mean, nobody's really doing it in this space, and you're taking advantage of something that's not a good situation, and you're making it a positive one. So I think what you're doing is awesome.